Hey, everybody. Welcome to Unfiltered and Intentional. I want to let everybody know, especially the fathers, happy Father's Day. You guys deserve it. You work your asses off. I know it's not said enough, but you are truly appreciated. There are a lot of fathers who are married, who are separated, divorced, widowed. I mean, you can name it. They're in different situations, and you guys are definitely go-getters. My strong, African kings. Of course, there's all types of fathers out there, but I definitely want to say to my brothers out there, you guys are truly appreciated. If no one else says it to you, it should be some type of honorary day every day. Because you always hear about the woman, they put their backs into it, the mother, we need to, give those hand claps to the fathers, because there are some true parent fathers that are out there just putting the work in and doing what it takes. Because sometimes the mothers can be trifling now. But that's a whole other conversation. If you can tell everybody what to do, Specs.
Hey, everybody. All right. So, look, if you're on Facebook, go to YouTube, like, subscribe. You got to subscribe and share. Like, subscribe, share, because we love you. You love us, but we need to grow. And you're growing with us, and we're growing with you. But you need to go to the Facebook, like, subscribe, and share.
Yes. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. Yes, like, subscribe, and share. I did mail out some of the stuff for the winners of the the anniversary. So some of you guys should already received it, and then the other ones, the t-shirts will be coming your way. So definitely, please stay connected with us, and you'll get your stuff that's much needed. All right. So moving along, I want to give a shout out to Ty. Ty is not on the show at the moment, but we definitely understand when things you got to take care of some things, do what it do. But we do love you. And I want to apologize because my voice is definitely a little hoarse, because I was in Miami for about 5 days, turning it up for my 40th. Yes. My eyes went, yes, I turned 40. So my voice is a little bit of scratchy. So I may have to ask Liz to kind of chime in for me or read those comments off or whatever have you. But we're going to be talking about Juneteenth. If you guys have not already realized that Juneteenth now is a federal holiday. And this is something that everyone had agreed on, the House, the Congress, the Senate. It just went on and went on. And, Biden signed it into law, and it's a federal holiday. Some people have actually gotten days off and different things. Before we get into the history of it and all that, well, actually, let's go into the history of it, and then I'll ask the question. So for those of you who are just like, especially if you're new to this, or you never heard of it, or you may have heard your parents or whatever talk about it, Juneteenth commemorates the moment in 1865 when news of emancipation reached the enslaved people of Galveston, Texas. Though the day has often been omitted in history books and overlooked by non-Black Americans, activists and leaders have been pushing for decades to gain greater national recognition for it. After taking a backseat during the 1960s civil rights movements, Juneteenth made a resurrection in the 80s and 90s in communities across the country, with Texas becoming the first state to establish it in 1980, which I was like, wow, because I know that the Texans were already celebrating Juneteenth. In 1994, leaders from around the nation gathered at Christian Unity Baptist Church in New Orleans to advocate for even greater acknowledgement of June 19th significance. That meeting would spawn a number of organizations and causes dedicated to commemorating and honoring Juneteenth, including the National Juneteenth Observation Foundation. And of course, now in 2021, it is in full effect. I think it really got on social media platform. I know the president from last year, Donald Trump, was talking about, oh yeah, we'll make Juneteenth a holiday. And a lot of whites were like, what the hell is Juneteenth? Specs, were you celebrating Juneteenth? I mean, how do you feel about the whole thing? Is it something to pop a bottle to? Are we clapping? Or we're just like, what's your feeling on it?
Well, Juneteenth is the Black 4th of July, right? Because 4th of July is basically saying we were free from bondage as Americans, not as black people, but as Americans. So Juneteenth is the equivalent of that. But you got to look at Juneteenth as a Black Lives Matter type of momentum type of thing, because before 2020, Black lives didn't matter. Juneteenth didn't matter. A lot of our issues didn't matter. So this is momentum. So you got to understand that when allies are jumping on Black Lives Matter, that's huge. When Juneteenth is now pushed and you have all of the Senate and most of Congress voted for it, that's big. That's momentum. So I'm celebrating. I don't really celebrate, but I'm celebrating in the momentum that we have as a culture right now. We need to take advantage of that, because if we don't, nobody will. So we need to look at this as the bigger picture of Juneteenth is a part of it. We're being recognized for our contributions, but what we add to the culture of America. Because before, we weren't recognized for that. I don't care what anybody said, we just weren't. So now we are. So if we as a people now can get together and push this momentum further, we can get a lot done. But if we just sit back and be like, well, I didn't get enough, then we'll be where we are.
Okay. What about you, Liz? Are you top of bottle?
No. So look, am I happy for the recognition? Sure. As Specs kind of alluded to, we have to take our victories when we can get them. But it's one of those things that, do we really want to say happy Juneteenth? I mean, that's one of those kind of oxymorons, like Happy Memorial Day. I don't know how happy it's meant to be. You know what I mean? First of all, Juneteenth doesn't celebrate the end of slavery. It celebrates when the news got to Texas, because they kept working those people wrongfully long after it was abolished. And run around celebrating, yay, it's a happy day. I don't think it needs to be another day to barbecue. I know the very first thing everybody asked was, so do I get the day off now? First of all, only federal workers get the day off. And what percentage of federal workers are minorities to begin with? So it's a holiday that more of them get off than we do. And what are we going to use this day off for? If it's a day to get together to do some introspection and to have some community meetings and to figure out who's going to run in the next election out of the community, or what we need to build in the community and what we're going to put forth, then then I'm popping bottles. But if it's a day that I get to sleep in, I guess, all right, I'll take a day off, I guess.
So for myself, I am happy, and I guess you put it, Specs, very well in reference to the recognition that we recognize America has officially put it on paper, and we recognize that we fucked up. We knew that we did something wrong, and now we're acknowledging this. Okay. Do I think we should be popping bottles and doing fish fries and doing the electric slide behind it and all this other stuff that we've seemed to do for some strange reason? No. I don't know. I'm so bad in people's names, and I hate the fact that I am. So maybe if one of you remember the name, but the head chair of the DNC guy, he's in the Carolinas. He's an older Black gentleman. He was having an interview, and he was just saying, hey, this is a big thing, because it gives us hope. No. I don't look at it like it gives us hope. I look at it as that you just drop some breadcrumbs, like, all right, here you go. Now, once again, I do think by you acknowledging the fact that you fucked up, we can then take it and say, aha, now we can talk about advocacy in reference to reparations. Now we can talk about this. Now we can talk about that. We can also talk about other places that have also were in bondage, because it wasn't just Galveston, Texas, that they came and said, hey, y'all really free. There were other little areas and little sections where people were still working as slaves. So now this shines light to the subject. I love the fact that the young kids are like, Juneteenth, what the hell is a Juneteenth? okay, now we could talk the history. Now it's officially out there. But my frustration is that the same individuals that made this into the law, who say, hey, this is something we'll give y'all, the same people that are pushing back voter restrictions, that are saying don't teach it. So it's funny. That's the oxymoron. We're giving you the holiday, but we don't want your kids to know shit about the holiday. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't want you to talk about race theory. We don't want you to talk about the 1916 Project. Don't talk about race, period. We are Americans. But then in the same breath, we got a holiday for you. So that's something that's like, wow. So I want to go ahead and read some of these comments real quick. Well, Liz, so give me one quick second. I can pull it up.
Mm-hmm. So Humble Lion says, America made Juneteenth a national holiday, but don't teach why we have Juneteenth in the first place. That's what Kia was just saying. It's a Humble Lion. We still need to get a crime bill. Right. We need a voting act bill. Yes, we do. It's a Humble Lion. He's on it. So I just think the Democrats did this to secure their spot in the 2024 election. Ooh.
So here's the thing. I think that both parties tried to secure their spot in the election in 2024. Because if you remember correctly, a part of the Trump strategy was to basically say, hey, we have a business plan per se for African Americans. We're going to do these things. We're going to do these things. And I specifically remember him saying, because he was the one who put Juneteenth out there. So white America was like, what is this Juneteenth thing? I remember having an argument about it. And he ended up saying like, hey, we're going to make this a holiday. We're going to do this. So I think that's the reason, because he gave his A-OK on that. I think that was kind of positioning for the Republicans. Like, look, I mean, that's what I remember him saying specifically. That was he was running. Did you remember?
He was. So he had a rally in Oklahoma. So he had it on Juneteenth. So it was a lot of white nationalists going to this rally in Oklahoma on Juneteenth. So it was such a smack in the face.
I remember that.
The article came out that a few black Secret Service agents went to him and said, sir, this is what this is, and that's why it's just so disrespectful, because they were so close to him. They were like, look, we protect you, but look, this is an issue. Could you not do this? So that's why he backed off of it. But then he learned about it and he was like, oh, we should do this. So he's like Justin Bieber saying he discovered R&B. Like, no, he doesn't get credit for Juneteenth or
not even to say that he discovered something. I just think that it's a grandstand for everybody. Everybody who said, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, hey, can I get that?
I got a different spin on this one, right? So actually what he said, he didn't say we're going to make it a holiday. What he said was that he's the first person to recognize it and that he made Juneteenth famous. But somehow Juneteenth is about him, right? So he made it famous. Yes, everything else that you said was what the Secret Service came and told him, like, you really can't have this rally on this day at this place. Like it's the height of insult. And and granted, he actually walked it back. Now, what was interesting about him saying that he made it famous was that his office had already put out statements the 2 previous years that acknowledged Juneteenth. And now all of a sudden he is making it famous, right? So that was, beyond fascinating. But even beyond that, I don't think that both sides wanted to secure, their 2024 seat, right? And so I actually have a very close friend that said to me that he hates the Democrats just about as much as he hates the Republicans at this point because they're good for tokenism. I don't think that signing a bill for Juneteenth secures any seats for anybody. I don't think that we're going to fall for it. I don't think. But I'm going to go a step further. I don't think the Republicans did it to secure anything other than the ability to say, I'm not a racist. I voted for the Juneteenth day. That's all they secured. They didn't do anything for us. They did it for themselves to say, I'm not against everything Black or everything minority. My name is on that Juneteenth thing. I passed that no problem. I didn't lose any sleep over it. Why? Because another day they get off too.
Well, I can even add it a step further. How about the lobbyists are in ties with the corporations and all this, that, there? Because I wanted to segue into commercialism, because it just so happened that Nike came out with the Juneteenth Air Maxes. I mean, the t-shirts are popping. You got to get your bandanas. I was down when I was in Hollywood, Florida. They had the Hard Rock Hotel. They had the colors of the African colors and stuff. I mean, everybody wants a piece of it. Like, who is not representing for Juneteenth? We are all here, one love, one nation. I'm thinking that maybe that's what it is. Everybody can make a little piece of the pie. I can sell a little bit more fish because, you know, Black people just gotta have their fish fry. I mean, I seen a lot of barbecue. I'm like, damn, what's going on? Is this another excuse to have a barbecue? Go ahead, Specs.
I was saying, I'm sorry, I'm starting again. When people see a chance to make money, corporations, it's all about the dollar sign. So they're going to do that regardless of what it is. They're always going to make that money. So we can't concentrate on them because that's their job. Their job is to make money for their stockholders and for themselves. So they're going to look at that. So everything you can do to make something popular, they're going to grab onto and be like, how can I make money from this? Okay. So our job is, I'm sorry, I'm starting again, is to keep it pure. So this should be like a div action. So let's say next year is the voting year, right? So this should be the day of saying, who's on board with this, and let's support them. And if you're not Democrat or Republican, let's get them out. This should be a certain day that we all get together and rise. So this should be that day. So, right. So Juneteenth next year, when other people are buying T-shirts and pushing shoes and all that, we should be having rallies and being like, okay, who's voting for this? Who's voting for like the Crowds bill? Who's going for this? You know.
I say this all the time. My mother will come to me and say, you know, we all know that the Black dollar goes very, very far when it comes to spending. We spend, you know, no matter what it is. And when it comes to that, we have to boycott. And I think that's such a great idea. You know, when you said that, hey, Juneteenth, June 19th, that should be the day of coming together and say, you know what? We are going to put some policies into play. There's some things that we want. We shut it down. One day of us not spending will shut this economy down. And what the hell? All we need is one day. That's how much we spend. And if we do this and it becomes a habit, a habitual thing, that this day, that's the shutdown holiday. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're shutting shit down. I think that we can get a little things, and I want to get this comment in that kind of segues into that. Go ahead, Liz.
So Z Winslow said, we also need a voting rights bill and a bill to address police brutality.
So once again, if we have these type of things, so my question I was going to ask, so like, hey, what do we want? Because I think that when you have the different woke groups, then you have some people who are like, hey, you know, give me that old time way or whatever. Then you have some people who just don't care. You have a mix of different things. What do African Americans want? And we could come up with that, like you just stated right here, when you stated the crime bill, voting rights bill and police brutality type of bill. This is something that we want. And being able to put that all in fine print and then say, hey, we're shutting shit down for this day, Juneteenth, our day. We're going to make it represent, you know what I'm saying? We're shutting it down. This is what we want. And since we're shaking up the economy, they'll listen, because that's when they listen to us, when we mess with their money. When we mess with their money, I mean, even if it was like one day, remember the NBA stars, you know, they walked off and they're not doing it no more. I mean, people were going crazy because at one end, you know, it was like the whole thing of why are they taking a knee, and these people, these MFs, and da-da-da.
Yeah.
Players, go ahead, Specs.
Oh, no, I was agreeing with you. Money talks. Money talks and bullshit walks. So let's say on that day, you just support Black vendors. So let's say you don't spend your money, you buy no Nikes, no Adidas, nothing like that. So let's say we have a website, or let's say on here, we advertise, so we have a build up. So let's say we have a build up of just Black, T-shirts, tennis shoes, all that. And that day, you save your money and you buy from that Black enterprise. If we do that, we will create Black wealth, because we have so much money. And we spend, I know when I was in high school, this is a while ago, and I was in economics class, and we were spending, I know it was 3 times our counterpart in the economy. So, because a lot of times when the white dollar goes, they'll invest it, but we'll spend it. and but we won't spend it in our community. So like if we have an effort, so we need to have an effort of wealth. Okay, so let's stop asking him to help us with our wealth, and let's find a plan to build our wealth. So let's take this day and say, okay, from slaves now we build our own Wall Street. How do we do that? We have these black businesses, and that day you cannot spend your dollar anywhere else besides the black business. So we will give you a list if you don't have any of black businesses.
I had the conversation. Of course, you know, my birthday week wasn't just a turn up of parties and things. We had to have those conversations because this is who I am. And, you know, I was able to hear different perspectives. And once again, I hear a lot of individualism, and I understand why, right? I'm tired. You know, I have to, you know, what's in it for me? I got to focus on me and mine and keep it moving. There has to be some type of plan. And I think that this right here definitely is the start or the engine where we can kind of say, hey, let's push some stuff. Because I really do think that this was a day that America recognized that they fucked up. They put it on the paper. I mean, there should be some more holidays and all types of other stuff going on, but definitely something where we are putting some type of plan together. I know Ice Cube had a plan, and there's a couple of people that have something, but I think that every time we get a plan together, there's those people like, and that's my question. How do you convince those? And because you need numbers, right? When the million
but you got ground floor. But you have to ground floor it. You have to ground floor it. And what that means is there will be people that will never support you, that will talk a big game, will never support you. I don't consider them, because you won't ever support any minority business. So why are you in the conversation? So I don't listen to them. So there are people that are willing to do, and I will buy this from you. I'll buy this from you. Listen to them. The naysayers won't support and they hate. That's what they do. And the opposition looks for them. They work with them. So you understand that that person is the enemy, even though they don't recognize themselves as an enemy, they are. So you have to know them as an enemy. So you're like, okay, thank you. And then you will find the people, because a lot of people want to do better. We all want to do better. The poorest black person wants to do better. I want this job. Anybody that's working 2 jobs wants to do better. They don't want to have to work 80 hours a week just to live basically or less than. So we can have a plan. It ain't that hard. We can have a plan of wealth and say, okay, if you do this, I'll do this, and we'll put this together. We have enough money to do it. Just enough. You buy this. We just need a list. A list. Because a lot of people don't want to get the list of hair care products. Like, what do you buy? You buy hair care products. You buy women's products. I buy T-shirts, socks. Somebody black has to sell that somewhere. But we have a list of, let me buy my socks from them. That's a huge business. Socks, underwear, just something like that. And I'm gonna buy this pair of underwear. I need some underwear right now, but I'm gonna wait. Juneteenth, and if we all shop that one day, like that Black Friday, and we shop that one day, we show the power of our dollar. And then we show the power of what we bring, and then we demand, and then they're like, okay, because you got money and you willing to move your money. Yeah, because we don't got to stop, we don't got to boycott them, like don't spend the money with them, spend it with us. And when you see that one company make $50,000 that one day, you're going to listen. But 10 companies making that, and they're black companies, okay, so we need to do business with them. What do we need to do? Because a lot of them is about money, and if we don't represent money, we don't represent anything.
I think also to add to that, the great, beautiful point, I also think to add to that, I would love to see how we could now go ahead and bring celebrities into the mix. Because of course they're on social media, they have big followings. Like I said, it was impactful when you had basketball players, walking off the courts and doing different things and showing like, yo, we're taking a stance on this is bullshit. And I think that when you have these big high rollers taking this big stance, and a lot of people do follow them and celebrities and stuff, and they're getting more into it. I think that when we do the advocacy, these individuals should be approached like, hey, you play a big impact on, the media and following. They'll be able to kind of put it out there, and not per se that they have to be some type of outreach advocate, but at least also add to it. I was actually impressed when I seen for that ADOS organization that Shaka Khan supports them. And anybody who knows Shaka Khan, just the simple fact that you're a huge fan, you're going to listen. What are you supporting? You support reparation? What the hell? And it's getting people involved. Like, okay, and you just turn it just because you simply list like Shaka Khan. You want to know what she has to say. So I definitely think, putting them in the forefront is true. Let's hear some comments just popped in.
So Cash said, "Happy Father's Day, Specs, and all the fathers watching."
Oh, wait.
So, okay, Alistair said, "Talk that talk, Specs." Had to put a little bass in that one.
No, it's true. I wanted now to go into the breadcrumbs. So I'm getting a gist that we all kind of agree that this was a breadcrumb that was given to us. And there are a lot of people that are like, well, this is huge. Besides, I know there was a comment about the voting rights bill and the police brutality. What else do you think that we need to add to that list? Like, what do you think is that top 5 that we needed to be working on?
Ooh. All right. So it's funny because the first thing I said when they passed the bill last Thursday and everybody was, doing a happy dance, I said, well, thanks for the token. I'll use it for the ride. There's that, right? I think just overall equality, this goes way back to when, things were like separate and equal. I know on this show, we've touched base on even if we buy a house, if we get it appraised and they can identify or figure out that it's a Black owner, it'll automatically be appraised at less than. Our schools are funded less than, and so on and so forth. I think that once we can figure out across the board how to get rid of less than. One thing we haven't touched base on this show just yet, and I know it's coming, everything's coming, right? I work in post-secondary education, right? And one of those small things that we never ever talk about is selective service. I don't know if everybody watching the show or knows what that is, anything, but between the age of 18 and 26, every male in the United States is required to register in the event that we should have a draft. And if you don't, the only real penalty, and it's hidden, it's tucked away, you don't even know, most men that have signed up for it, it was just put in with their paperwork when they went to register to vote, get their driver's license, get their diploma. You just sign it because somebody told you to sign it. At 18, you're not reading, everything that you're signing. You're just not, right? And you just sign it and you keep it moving. If you don't sign it, you are blocked from access to federal financial aid, which is how most people pay for school. Like the majority of people need financial aid to pay for school. So could you imagine being 40 or 50, and even, it's late, but I'm glad you got there, right? And you've decided now you're 40 years old, you need to turn this around, you gotta go get some type of formal training or education, and you go to sign up to go to school because here you are trying to do right. And somebody says, oh, you didn't sign a paper when you were in your lower 20s and now you don't get any funding. But here's the flip side of that. Somebody that just came to the country yesterday, as long as they came after their 26th birthday, even if they've never paid a dollar of taxes, has access to federal financial aid. Most, especially minority men that don't sign up for selective service, it's because they were in and out of jail a lot of the time at that time, or facing homelessness or real life issues. If they graduated high school, chances are they did it. If they didn't, then chances are they had not signed up for selective service. Can you imagine somebody that landed here on their 40th birthday can get financial aid, federal financial aid? But mostly Black people that I've noticed have been affected by the selective service little caveat, that small, things like that. They really worked a lot of inequality into every part of the system.
Yeah.
And so what do we need more than breadcrumbs? Whole damn slices of bread. I think that's what we need. So
it's funny that you said that, because I know for myself that's what makes me frustrated, because, and I think I was telling you yesterday that you'll have these little breadcrumbs that they give you. People be like, yeah, there's parades and parties and all types of festive activities. And it's like, okay, we we quiet them down for now, like the kids are the kids are quiet now, let's go back to doing some real business. And it's like, wow, or you'll get in, and there's a lot of corporations now, they're jumping on, in honor. I think Nike actually closed down their store yesterday in honor of Juneteenth and blah blah blah. And I'm like, really? Oh, and we vow to hire, all these African, blacks. We're gonna hire all these blacks to go ahead and work for our company because we have to get this whole coalition. And then you look at it and it's okay, just because you're my skin color, does that mean that you're black? Like, you could be Indian or something. And I'm not trying to say anything against the Indians, but I was telling you yesterday, Liz, it's why is it that there's an Asian hate crime bill, or save the dolphins, or the lesbians, or the gays, and this, and there's always this and this and this. As soon as you use the word African American, they shut it down. You guys are always asking for something. Oh, go ahead, Specs.
Those groups come together. The gay community, Jesus,
that is true.
That money is tight. They will support each other. We don't. There's the hole. Why should I, as a politician, if you don't vote or follow up with your vote, why should I care? There's no reason for them to care. So I'm not mad at them for not caring. I'm mad at us for not being what we used to be. We used to be the people that you give us the scraps and we make dinner that now you would pay $50 a plate for, right? So that's what we do. We've always done that, but now we're less than. So we'll take crumbs, complain about the crumbs, and go back to whatever we was doing. But these other groups will take that and build on it, and we do it better than any other community has ever done it until now. Until like the last couple of generations, we stopped. So we have nobody to blame. It's not them. They're supposed to do that. A dog is supposed to bark. They're supposed to do that. We stopped being good for us. So we can't. So we're being the bratty kids that won't stick up for ourselves and be like, why can't they take care of us? No, we supposed to do that. So we got Juneteenth, we got momentum. Let's build this black dollar and then say we want this crime bill. Okay, because Asians stick together. That stuff happened. They were like, shh. Black people get shot, and it's like this. Well, he should have been running away. So, but that's what they do, and that's what we do. So we need to take an example. My aunt told me this years ago about like writing emails, because black people will complain like, I ain't coming back here no more. White people write emails.
Yes, they do.
He was like, do like white people. So I learned how to do that. So when I have a complaint, I was like, I'm fine. May I have your card, please? I don't yell. I don't do this. No, may I have your card, please? And who's the district manager? That's okay. Yeah. I'll Google it. Thank you. People turn around fast, like, oh, sir. So what you need to do, or we need to do, is just follow that example. We really got to reinvent the wheel. Come together, make our dollar count, and then they pay attention to it, because they're about money.
I think that, and this is including the conversations that I had this week with different individuals about how they felt in kind of an individualistic, like, hey, as long as I take care of mine, or shit, I don't even give a fuck. Like, I'm just overwhelmed, because it can get overwhelming. I think that the mindset will probably change for the better if they seen some type of momentum, like you said. Like, if I see something happening, oh, okay, wait a second, let me go ahead and do this. Because it gets you can run into that hopelessness. Especially if you go back to your block. How many of us can go back to our block where we grew up at and see the same old people doing the same old shit? They ain't did nothing different, and they're still going to the, like, come on now.
But
I gave you the books and stuff.
We need to sell it as somebody that, all right, so we have a show, people watch this. It's our job to be like, here's what we think that this will work, and we need to sell it. We need to talk about it, because people will be like, I don't know. So you need to hear it constantly. For a sale, I think you need to hear it, 7 times? So you need to hear it again. You need to hear it again. You need to, okay, so all right, I might do this then. Okay, hear it again. Then it makes sense. I heard it a couple of times. It must be true. So negative things work like that, but positive things work like that too. So we need to find a solution, because we can find that we have enough intelligent black people to figure it out. Trust me. So we can do this.
Specs is on fire today.
Yo, like, I was getting the fire extinguisher. What is going on?
No comments.
So we can. I'm sorry. So I'm just saying that we can do this. It's been done. We've overcome a lot more than this.
Mm-hmm.
We were enslaved. Mm-hmm. We talked about slavery, and we just talked about a smidgen mm-hmm. of the horrors, and mm-hmm. still we weren't was it extinguished, because they were trying to get rid of us. They were like, you don't need to be here. We're done with you. Bye. And we still flourished. We had Black Wall Street. They bombed it, and we still flourished. When they gave away property to all the whites and gave nothing to us, we still flourished. So at this point, there's no excuse of history that we can't take what we have and build. No Black person can tell me, man, the government, stop. Just stop.
My God.
Stop. All right, so Z Winslow, top 5 things we need to discuss: voting rights, police brutality, CRT, critical race theory, studying reparations, and gerrymandering. Ooh, like, what?
That's a great one. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Z. So, Alistair said, education, healthcare, criminal justice reform, employment, and equal opportunities.
Yes, This one is funny.
Cash, number 1, reparations. Number 2, reparations. Number 3, reparations. Number 4, reparations. Number 5, voting rights.
It's funny. We needed some laughter.
Cash money. Yeah.
Alistair says, even when we get our shit together and we start to move things forward in the right direction, they infiltrate us, burn, and destroy our shit.
So here's the kicker, and once again, that's where that hopelessness comes down, and you have to be able to find some type of be optimistic in the situation, because if you're always like, what's the purpose? Because I feel that way. On the big scale, a little tiny platform. There's so many other people that have bigger platforms than I do, who talk about different things, whatever the case may be. And at the end of the day, it can feel like, man, am I really helping anybody? Like, am I helping one person to say, you know what, let me think about this a little bit differently? And I call you guys all the time depressed, like, I don't think I'm helping anybody, But at the end of the day, they do infiltrate. And I think that we just have to put in our forefront that if the game is not meant for you to win, then you have to find another way. You know what I'm saying? Like a strategy of chess. For instance, the voting rights. At this very moment, it's June the 20th, if I'm not mistaken, 2021. And we know that there will be an election. We know that there's other elections that's before the big one in 2024. If they know that they're putting different things in play to sabotage us, then let's outthink that and let's go ahead and find a way. We have so many different types of GoFundMe this and this and this. Let's put some type of thing together, an advocacy program where the felons that are able to vote now have the money to pay for those little fines that they have to. Or maybe, if we're paying those fines off, they're doing community service in the community. So it's not just, okay, I just gave a handout if you didn't want to look at it that way. There's so many alternatives to help people, and to kind of say, you know what, if they're going to take 2 steps, we're already fucking planning right now. Because I promise you, when white folks plan, they plan 50 plus years out. When they say this is what they want, right now we're talking about what we need, reparation. They're planning about hotels and outer space. We are nowhere near where they are. We're going to be on planet Earth talking about, do we use Bitcoin versus cash dollar? You know what I'm saying? So we have to hurry up, because time is not waiting for us.
Well, Bakia, I'm going to, I also said we really need to deal with the real issues. By the way, I got a comment on my phone earlier when you said that there was a congressman on TV that it was Jim Clyburn. So someone said that to me. They wanted me to let you know. But also, and I Felix Bex, I lost my train of thought.
What?
We traded places tonight.
I know. Sorry.
Okay. It's gonna come back. It's gonna be good.
It's Esquire. In addition to voting, we need to buy politicians. If we build an economic base and politicians come to us to fund their campaigns, they will have to be more receptive to our demands and asks.
Play the game.
You know what's so interesting about that comment? It makes me think about Vice President Kamala Harris. So she is the first Black woman of color to be a vice president. You know, everybody else looked different from her. So for visual purposes, it's awesome. You know, my little 4-year-old girl was like, "Mommy, who's that?" You know, representation is awesome when you have those kids who are looking like, I can't do that, and you see them, somebody that looks your color, being able to do that. But I'm very curious to know what demands, what will we put together as an agenda so that when Biden and Kamala are like, hey, we're going to run again, are we going to put those lists together that everybody just said? You know, are we going to talk to these politicians? We're going to hold it. Hey, you want our vote? Because we're the ones who put them in office. You know what I'm saying? It could be Trump in 2024. Like, are we going to really hold them accountable? Like, I'm crossing my fingers. Money.
I thought it came back to me. I'm back. So we were talking about, you know, in 2024, they're trying to secure their ticket. Not so much because they want people to run out to vote. A lot of times they do stuff because they don't want you to run out to vote. So you'll stay home because, you see, we got Juneteenth, things are better, right? We got a Black president, things are better. We got, you know, and that's what they're doing is they're kind of soothing you and calming you down. You know what I mean? Just here's a bone, go calm down. And then, they're pacifying you. When you take your little bone, you run to your corner. Any of us that have dogs, you know how that works, right? You hand them a treat, they go run into their corner. They'll leave you alone. They'll leave you alone for a good long minute, right? And that's what this is. This is that dog treat for you to go run into the corner. You know what I mean? And so it's no different than the projects. Right? If you make poverty somewhat comfortable, if I'm not stressed about paying my rent every month, that's one less thing for me to worry about. I'm good. I'll say I'm good. You know what I mean? If somebody could tell you right now, listen, you'll never have to pay your mortgage or your rent again, just leave me alone. What are the odds that you would take them up on that? What are the odds that you would, that's your biggest bill, right? So we got the projects. You know what? People in the projects aren't lining up to vote like that. Let me tell you, at least not when I was growing up, right? They were lining up for those food stamps when they were still handing out paper stamps, right? They were lining up for government cheese, but they were not lining up to vote, right? That was not a thing, right? So if you get rid of people's food bill and their rent or their mortgage, and you make them comfortable in that way, they'll leave you alone. That's that dog in that corner with that chew toy, like it's nobody's business. And then for the people that are a little more woke and that are arguing for things like, you know, a holiday or whatever, here's your bone, and here you go running off again, happy with your treat to be left alone, right? We have to be really, really careful about them doing things to pacify us. And to just give it to the treat, and we go running off into the corner just happy and not to be heard from for a little while. Be very aware of that. It's not so much that they want our vote; they want us to get comfortable enough to not vote. Right now, we're paying too much attention. Right now, we have too many demands. So if they can make us demand a little less, but you got in a couple of weeks ago we talked reparations, and I said I was anti-checks. That's why I'm anti-checks, right? That's the biggest reason why. If they cut everybody a check right now for $1,500, they could say, see, we're not racist, right? There's no racism. We gave everybody checks. How much nicer can we get? And a lot of people will be real happy spending that $1,500 right close to election day, because that's when they'll drop something like that and move on, right? And that's kind of how that works. Be real careful with these treats. Be careful. So.
So we have
facts.
Facts.
So I wanted to say it's interesting that you said that, because I mean, like I said, it literally it feels as if we're like running in a circle. I know that when Ice Cube came up with some type of plan of, you know, and a whole research paper on what we need, and he had a lot of those different things in there. You had the woke community. You know, it wasn't enough for the women. It wasn't enough for this. It wasn't enough for that. So you're basically thinking that we're not going to be able to appease everybody. When can we take this agenda that we have and kind of be able to walk with it? Because as soon as we come up with the agenda, let's just say we all put those lists of demands into this paper here, and we're walking with it like, here, this is what we want. How do we stop our own people from blocking us? That's the question that I have, because so many of our own people block us. Like, forget about the white man.
But see, first, don't do that. Make the money. Build your money, and that talks. So right now we're asking for favors. Please do this for us. Please do that. When you have the money, you pay for it because you buy that politician. You buy that. Oh, I'm buying this space. I'm doing this. So they listen. But when you don't have the money, I'm asking you for the handout. Can you help me? See, and that's the leverage. So I'm asking you. Rich men don't ask; they tell. Even when you convict, even when you catch them, you don't ask them. You don't put handcuffs on them. You call them and say, "Hey, I think we need to come get you for jail." No, I'll show up Thursday. Okay. Poor men, you break down their door and snatch their ass up. The first agenda should be make the money. How do we show our wealth? Then say we want this done. Once we do that, we pay for this politician. We have our own lobbyists. We play the game. Right now, we're the pauper. Hey, can you please do this for us, sir, ma'am, sir? That doesn't work. It hasn't worked for us. It will never work. Play the game. Years ago, I used to work at Radio One. I used to work for Kathy Hughes. I used to work a few floors under her in 2001, 2002. So a few years after that, I remember she called everybody up to her office because the radio station wasn't that big, and she was like, "Hey guys, I'm about to start this new thing called TV One," and she put in a VHS tape, and she just had an idea. She was like, "This is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. I'm talking to BT and Comcast, but I think we're gonna do this." And I remember that meeting. And I remember a year later, she did it. She put the plans together, got the money in the people, and built that because she was doing radio and TV was like, we don't, but she did it. So I saw that. So you can't tell me we can't do that. And that's somebody that a few years, like 15 to 20 years earlier, used to sleep at her radio station with her kid because she was homeless, but she had that radio station. So we can do it, but you got to make the money first. Don't ask them for nothing because you're showing your hand, but you're showing a poor hand. Make the money and then say, pull up in your, because poor people. I went to a meeting one time, and this last time I'm gonna do this. I went to a meeting one time, and I had a couple of $1,000 watch. It was diamond, all that, and I forgot what the meeting was about. It was about me coming to this company, and my fee was $10,000, right? But I walked in there with the watch that was almost more than what I was asking for. But I looked like the money because I was the money. So they were like, oh, okay, $10,000, that's cool. Now, if I walked in there with some beat up jeans, some messed up Nikes, and was like, yo, I need 10 G's, they're looking at me like, what the fuck? It's $5 at a Coke. Because that's how I would have presented myself. You cannot present yourself from this and then ask for this. I mean, ask for this and that. So you have to build.
In reference to, per se, I guess, fake it till you make it, and or don't present yourself, don't show your hand, don't show the fact that I'm needing this, because if I look desperate, oh please, sir, help me, sir. They're like, oh, that's your weak spot. Oh.
Yeah.
A kidney transplant and blah blah blah, and then now you're ready to, sell out as quick as you get it in this stuff. Got you. I like how you
right. Because when you're poor, you do poor shit. So you get that check, you're like, ah. So no, you have to show your leverage. Show your wealth.
What is Specs on today?
What's he sipping tonight?
But that's the thing, though. It's a mentality. When you're poor and you're living paycheck to paycheck, you have a mentality. You behave in a certain manner, not because it's a judgmental thing, like ha ha ha. No, but your whole mindset is different. So it's definitely true. If you guys can just sit back and look like, like. People who are poor, you will see they are thirsty.
Right. They'll take anything. Anything. Just give me something. I just want one rib. I get one rib. No, you don't want to be that. I want the whole store, but here's the money for it.
Wow, let's go to this here. Go ahead.
So Esquire, show results. Best way to convert doubters. Facts. And again, ignore the doubters and get results. They'll eventually get on board or get left. That's an answer to your question, Kia. Yep.
Yeah, and that's what I'm coming to, guys. I'm coming to the realization more and more, and even if I'm asking the question again and repeating myself to different people, or looking for a sounding board for somebody to hear my cry, I think that's what it is. I think that there will be so many people that will get left behind because, you know, we're not in 1960s where we have time is on our side and we have all this years ahead of us. We're in 2021 and we're still trying to figure this shit out. And we're still trying to do this and do that. Go ahead, Specs.
I said this before. Be Harriet Tubman. Everybody didn't want to be freed. You're not going to stop. You're not going to stop us from moving. So we're going to move. And if you're going to try to, I still got my gun. So we need to have that mentality of you're not going to stop this. You can naysay, but get back there. That's where they go. Naysayers go back there. Mm-hmm. We're going here. So I don't care about them. People will always say you're not this. I've been told that all my life. I used to have a stutter, still have a stutter. I have a block, and I was dyslexic, still am. And I wanted to get into music, wanted to get a radio, wanted to dance, and people told me I couldn't do it. And then when I did, I remember it was a cousin of mine that used to talk stuff about me. It was a close cousin. And then I remember when I got with, I forgot what label I was with, asked me for concert tickets. So, and it was cool. But you can't let people stop you. Because his voice never rang in my ear. I was like this, okay. Like, that's God, man. It's between me and God. That ain't got nothing to do with you, but okay. So we can't let them, when people start being like naysayers, you can't do it and you don't want to do it, that's fine. Excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes me
think. You've done it. You've done it. Black women have done that. You've had naysayers come to you and telling you how worthless you are, and you've seen it on TV and you still achieve. Look at you now. Look at yourself now and how much you've achieved and to help people. You've done that. Okay. So I'm telling you, you achieved that. Like, if you want to see an example of that, go to a mirror and be like, and look at the shit you've seen on TV about your body image and your skin and how you're not this, and you still walk around with a beauty like this. I'm this, because they couldn't penetrate that. That same mentality is what all I'm talking about. You already have it. I've already seen it in my grandmother, my mother. I've seen it in my father when his mind was right. We already possess that. Just we need to just tap back into that.
Yeah. Wow. Go ahead, Specs. Once again. Miracle, Liz.
So Z Winslow, to Specs' point, you're correct. We do need to buy politicians. I believe when our people to make to the level where their money talks for them, their issues aren't the same as someone who's day to day. Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And it's so funny because even when you think about that, when you start leveling up, you start to be able to network, you start to be able to meet other people who are advocating, people who are allies, because we already know we are African Americans per se are not the majority in America. Hispanics will be the majority very soon, but at the end of the day, African Americans aren't. And with that being said, we need our allies. We need people to, get these numbers. Fred Hampton, when he was a part of the Black Panthers, he realized that it wasn't just going to be the Black Panthers out there marching and doing what they needed to do and securing their neighborhoods and this. He wanted to bring in poor whites. He wanted to bring he wanted to bring all those different minority groups together. And that's when the FBI thought that we got to get rid of him. The FBI.
Right. That's when he was dangerous. Yep.
Now he got everybody on board. You know what I'm saying? He broke through our little thing. We was trying to separate people like, oh, this one think they better, this one think they better. But now we got all those groups together and we here to rain fire on your ass, And he wanted everybody to have that mindset that we are revolutionists and we're going to make a difference. And can you imagine if all of us had that type of powerful mindset? Mm-hmm. They will shut
Absolutely.
Shit down. Mm-hmm.
So Z says, being Black isn't a monolith. We need people who are rich enough to buy politicians, but aren't removed from the struggle.
That's true.
Can I get an amen?
It's interesting because I seen it was like a little, I don't know if it was a spoof or a movie or documentary, but it was a whole bunch of white men at a table, definitely, suit and tie, eating their little caviar and everything. And they were saying like, hey, let's take a couple of Black people and put them with good jobs. and have good cars and a pretty wife and this, and expose them to money. Because if we can expose them to this, we can separate them from the rest of the group. And now guess what? Now these individuals will start looking at them like, we are better than you. Just kind of like how the house slave was versus the field slave. You know, we got that. And like he just said, we can't have them removed from the struggle, because when you live in that bubble, you start to forget stuff. My brother had to bring me back to reality, because I was like, Black people woke. Black people are woke and they ready to make a change. He said, no. I said, yes. And he was like, Akia, I go outside every day in New York City and this is what I'm seeing. I'm like, I know there's a small few of Black people that are not getting it together, but the average Black person, they ready. You know, they're not putting the chemicals in their hair. They're picking out the hair. He said, Akia, wake the fuck up. And when he said that, it made me think. And I said, oh shit. The only reason why I feel that Black people are so woke, because my circle that I hang out with are doing shit. Everybody in my circle has some business, or they're independent, or they're building wealth for their kids. But that's not the majority. I'm actually the minority.
Poor is poor. You go to the trailer park, because I live in PA. So you go to the trailer park, or if you go to the ghetto, people know their blocks. I know 4 or 5 of my blocks, and I go around that, because when you're poor, that's what you do. You know your neighborhood. You don't travel that much. When you got money, you travel. When you travel, you see stuff. You expose to different stuff. Yes. When you don't have money, you don't travel. You travel on the bus, but that's it. So when you're not exposed to certain things, you don't know any better. So that's why these certain people do the same things over and over, because when you don't know, you don't know. And when your parents don't know, they do the same stuff and they teach you wrong. 2 + 2 is like green jeans. Yes, green jeans. What? But if that's all you know, that's all you can teach. And that's why you have generation. And it's not just Black people. Remember, poor white people and Black people were here. And then the rich white people told the poor white people, you're not like us, but you're better than them.
Yeah.
So that's why you have the most not racist, and not racist, they're bigots. The most bigots you'll see are poor white people. So because the rich white people, it's about money. They'll have somebody over Black, because you know what? It's about money. They're like, but poor, and your family is from where? So it's it's funny. I've moved around old money before, and it was amazing to see old white money and old Black money. And they didn't know me, because I was a friend of a friend. So I was there, and he told me about it. He was like, Antoine, be quiet. So, and I looked, and I was in high school, and I was like, Jesus, it was amazing how stuff moved, and how business moved. Because his father had a law firm in, I know, Florida and DC, right? So Black guy, old money, old Black money. But hang around him, I saw old white and old. So it's about that movement. And they protect them, but that's about money. When you're poor, you're just poor, because they look at them. The rich look at the poor whites just like they look at us. But when you want to play each other, you use them as pawns, and to say, we're looking out for you. They ain't looking out for them. That's what Dave Chappelle was like. They say, he ain't looking out for you. Trump looking after me. Those tax breaks are for me. And Dave Chappelle was right. He ain't looking at, it's about money. So even though they're allies, they're not. So right now we got to know that we have a lot of money. We spend a lot of money. We need to put together money for us. We have some celebrities that might do something. A lot of them won't. So some might jump on, but we have enough wealth in just our middle income, money that we make, and put that together. We can move industry. And we can do it in a year. If this time, Juneteenth, we want that crime bill, but we line up these businesses, make this money, and say, okay, we're going to get this politician this $10,000. We're going to get this politician this $10,000. And we have money to buy time and all that. We got them. But if we got a year, we can do it. We can do it.
I mean, well, going back to kind of, I guess what you were both saying, but especially where you were mentioning here, like, Black people are woke now, you know what I mean? Because perception is reality. And not only is perception reality, but we do let a lot of media shape our truths, right? I mean, you only know what you know, and you really can't be expected to know anything that you don't know. That's the point, right? And so I remember so clearly. You guys remember when the whole Gen 6 thing was taking place? That was for me the most baffling thing in the whole world, and not for the reasons that you would think, right? But you know how they talk about like these sundown towns and where they know that, like, that shocked me because to me it was like, well, why wouldn't those people move? Like, it was that simple. To me, it was that simple. If I live someplace where at curfew I can no longer cross the railroad tracks, I'm leaving. Right? I didn't need June. I don't need a Juneteenth on the calendar to tell me that I'm that free. I will get on a plane, a bus, a drive. I don't care. I'm out though, right? And so to me, it was like, well, why would you stay in a town like that? Well, because most of those people don't know that towns that are not like that exist. Right? So somebody that lives in a sundown town assumes that all towns are sundown towns. That is their reality, and it's the only reality that they know, right? People that grow up watching the Huxtables, right, assume that Black people are successful. They are lawyers and doctors, and they have families, and mom and dad. That's what they want you to perceive, right? And so it's no different than flat earth people, right? They really do feel it. They set sail, they're going to fall off the side of the earth. If you tell somebody in a sundown town to move, it's like, to what? Another sundown town? And so it's the same thing for our circles. We just assume that everybody is doing what we're doing, because that's nobody from my neighborhood ever moved. Why would I move? That sounds dangerous. That sounds crazy, right? If you let people say that, well, Florida is full of Florida man or Florida woman, no one's going to come to Florida. They control that narrative, right? And so I'm not moving to Florida. In Florida, they hang y'all. You know what I mean? Well, where you're at, they hang y'all. So, I do think that we need to be very, very aware of not only our reality, but who's shaping our reality.
Thank you for that. Let's talk about your shirt before we start wrapping it up.
Oh, yep. So voter suppression equals eternal damnation. You guys have seen that one before. I figured it was not Juneteenth, right? But it was one of those issues that, they can pass what they want to pass real quick. How long did it take them to move that through the bill and get it to move that through the floor and to get it to pass? Right. And so, and there were so many other issues that everybody else brought up. But I really do feel that if we sleep on this voter suppression thing, it will take us generations. Let me tell you, voter suppression and them packing the courts is setting us back generations. Gerrymandering. That's another really, really big one. We need to wake up. We need to start making a lot of noise, not a little noise, a lot of noise. It is eternal damnation, right? So, honestconcepts.com.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Liz. Once again, thank you, Specs. And I hope all the fathers out there have a happy Father's Day. I know that you guys do so hard work with the kids and just everything that you guys do. You guys are truly appreciated. My father passed away, but definitely happy Father's Day in heaven, in the universe, wherever your spirit is. Happy Father's Day. But I want to say this to the audience out there. I challenge you guys to go ahead and let's partner up somehow, some way where we can pick at least one issue. Because it's about, when I said, hey, the list, we had this, and this. But one issue where if it's not partnering with us, here Unfiltered, or partnering in your community and just advocating, a true advocacy. And I know we got so many things going on. We got to worry about COVID, my man ain't right. My wife ain't right. My girlfriend, my money, all the coins, everything that comes into play. But I definitely think that if we start doing some type of just focusing on one issue at a time, we could definitely make a change, and you will see progression moving much, much faster. And putting our dollars together. I understand that, we may not know each other. So we're like, I don't know. And I know there's a lot of people like, I try to bank with the Black banks, or I try to buy Black, and these people are so unprofessional. Well, I had somebody say to me one time, when McDonald's fuck up your French fries, do you eventually go back to McDonald's, or do you just end up just saying, I'm not going back to McDonald's again? I mean, we have it in us. I know that some certain, organizations are branded names, but at the end of the day, I think that we can do it. I want to go ahead and just let you guys know, just in general, that I will take that on, just to take one issue and really, really advocate and put something together. I know I told you guys that I wanted to go ahead and kind of take this show on the road, but I want to be able to go to different locations and talk about all the different towns that are not being talked about, that are not being represented, that are just lost and forgotten, and put it together. And like I said, I'm not a big politician, nothing, but maybe present it to ADOS or maybe some other big foundation and say, here's a list of all these things that these people don't have a voice for, just so we can do something. But thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for tuning in. Also, go ahead, Liz.
So also, I am trying to give away some money. I don't know. I don't know when that went out of style, but I have had 2 people reach out to me directly to mention a college student that could possibly use help with their books. So again, guys, we've raised $250 to pay for books for somebody for this upcoming fall semester. Hit me up directly if you're shy, I guess, right? Or go to the Unfiltered and Intentional Facebook community. And now I'm not asking for an essay. I'm not asking for a GPA or anything like that. Just a kid that is trying. That's all I'm asking for. If they're in school right now and you think that they could use $250 towards their books this fall, raised off of the t-shirts that we sold during Black Future Month, right? I would love to give somebody if it's one of those 2. The odds are good, but I mean it's out there. It's up for the taking.
Yes,
so hit me up.
Today, anything helps definitely for these kids, because I know college kids be struggling. The last comment for the show.
Okay, I'm back. So Z says top issue of voting right amendment, an amendment to the Constitution.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we definitely have to be able to fine tune what we're going to advocate for and do it. I know there's a couple of different podcasts out there, and they always kind of stick to one topic. And I think that this is where the show needs to head to. We have to be able just not to talk about it like, oh yeah, did you hear that? Some fucked up shit. No, talk about it and let's see how we could put, our mouths to the ground and do it. I know I do. I know you do as well, guys. Have an outreach background, but we have to be able to go ahead and do some true advocacy. But I want to thank you guys. I don't want to hold you up any longer, because maybe these husbands, maybe these fathers, these dads, they're getting massage, or they're getting some dinner, or they're getting something going on. So definitely take care. I love you guys. Oh, my daughter gave me some hearts. I love you if you're still watching.
Happy Father's Day.
And we'll see you later. And we love you, Ty. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.